Well, hello everybody, and welcome to my channel, Trek Mission Log. I'm very glad that you are here today as we embark upon another review of a Star Trek episode. Now, I have a special announcement that I need to make. Next week, there will not be a new video posted as I will be out of the country on vacation with my family. But the week after, I will be back to normal. I have a favor to ask. If you do enjoy this content, would you please consider subscribing? It would really help this channel a lot, and it would mean a lot to me personally. And if you do subscribe, please drop a comment that you did. Just say I subscribed or something along those lines. It would give me a great opportunity to thank you personally for subscribing. Also, I am on Instagram at Trek Mission Log. I do get a lot of bot messages and fake messages, so just please indicate that you watch the videos or you watch the channel, and then we can also connect and talk about Star Trek on that platform. Well, today we're going to be looking at the original series, Season 2, Episode 15, titled The Trouble with Tribbles. It originally aired on December the 29th, 1967. It was written by David Gerrold, directed by Joseph Pevney, and produced by Gene L. Kuhn. So check out some information about this episode, and then we'll come back and dive right in. The Enterprise is on its way to Space Station K7. Kirk is being briefed by Spock and Chekhov of a dispute over claims to Sherman's planet between the Klingon Empire and the Federation. According to Organian law, the dispute can only be settled by the party that proves that it can most efficiently develop the planet. Just then, Uhura chimes in with a priority message that a disaster has happened on K7. We then fade into the title sequence. Now, as the Enterprise approaches K7, they can only assume that the Klingons have attacked the station, and so they are ready for battle. And as they get to the station, the crew look puzzled because everything looks to be at peace. So Kirk has Uhura open the channel and he communicates with the station commander. Kirk asked what the nature of the emergency was. He told Kirk that it is hard to explain and that he should beam down and see it for himself. So Kirk and Spock both beam down, and Kirk is upset that a Priority 1 emergency was called when there was no emergency. Then a man named Niels Barris said that he gave the order. He also had an associate with him named Darwin. And he said that he wanted Kirk to post security guards around all storage compartments to protect the precious cargo called quadrotriticale, a type of wheat. In fact, Spock indicated that it is a wheat-rye hybrid that has its origins in 20th century Canada. Go Canada! Now, this is the only kind of grain that will grow on Sherman's planet, so that makes it of utmost importance, and Mr. Barris is afraid that the Klingons would try to take it. Kirk reluctantly agrees and calls up to the ship to send down 2 security guards. He also told Uhura to authorize shore leave for all non-duty personnel. Now, in a bar on the station, Kirk and Spock run into Uhura and Chekhov. They are taking their shore leave. Uhura said she wants to shop. Kirk asked Chekhov about the wheat, and he said, of course, it's quadrotriticale, a Russian invention. I won't ever do that again, I promise, okay? But the humor was there. Uhura and Chekhov go to the bar where a man is trying to sell stones and jewels to the bartender. His name is Jones. And after going through several items, he pulls out a little fur ball from his pocket. Uhura holds it and is completely taken with it. And Jones identifies it as a Tribble. Now, while Jones and the bartender are working out a deal for the Tribbles, the Tribble starts eating some of the Quadro Triticale. Jones then picks it up and gifts it to Uhura. On the ship, Kirk gets a message from Admiral Fitzpatrick from Starfleet, and he's ordering Kirk to offer whatever assistance Niels Barris requires. Kirk is bothered, and just then Uhura notifies Kirk that a Klingon warship has arrived. Interesting that she knew that since she was on shore leave on the planet. Anyway, Kirk hurriedly goes to the bridge and asks to notify the station commander. He does. The commander said that the Klingons are not going to attack because they are sitting with him in his office. And when Kirk beams down, he sees Captain Koloff, who, by the way, bears a striking resemblance to the Squire of Gothas. The Klingon captain said that he is there for shore leave rights, and Kirk grants permission for them to beam down, but only 12 at a time, and Kirk will have a security guard posted for each Klingon that beams down in order to keep the peace. Back on the Enterprise, Kirk and Spock walk into a recreation lounge. He finds Scotty relaxing by reading a technical journal. Then at the table, Uhura and several others are looking at an assortment of Tribbles. I counted 15 on the table there. The Tribble that Uhura brought up to the ship had babies. McCoy asked if he could bring one to the lab to find out more about it, and Uhura then gives some of the Tribbles away to her shipmates. Meanwhile, Mr. Barris calls up to speak with Kirk. He's upset about all the Klingons on the station, and he wants that grain protected. Kirk said that he has placed guards at every storage compartment and with every Klingon as per Starfleet's orders. Meanwhile, Captain Kirk is suffering from a headache, and so he goes to sickbay and discovers that McCoy has 11 Tribbles there. McCoy believes that Tribbles reproduce when they eat too much. Scotty beams down with some men for shore leave, and they go sit at a table when Jones arrives. He's trying to sell Scotty a Tribble. Scotty refuses. He then goes to the Klingon table, and they tell him to get lost. He then goes to the bartender to try to trade a Tribble for a drink, and the bartender starts pulling out multiple Tribbles. Now, one of the Klingons is trying to pick a fight with the Enterprise boys. He insults, first of all of humanity. And Chekhov wants to get up to fight, but Scotty holds him back. Then he insults Captain Kirk, and Chekhov again tries to get up, but Scotty orders him to sit, that we should be able to take a few insults. After several more insults, the Klingon called the Enterprise an old rust bucket and a piece of garbage. Scotty offers him a chance to rephrase his statement. The Klingon insulted the ship again, and so this time Scotty gets up and pounded him. A fight then breaks out. The fight is very comical. It lasts for several minutes, and finally several Enterprise security men rush in to put a stop to it. Kirk had his men beamed back up, and he had to cancel shore leave now for both ships, referring to the Enterprise and to the Klingon vessel. Kirk is questioning the men. No one is speaking up, and he confined them all to quarters and dismissed them. That is, everybody except for Scotty. He had Scotty stay behind, and Scotty privately explained the whole thing. Kirk confined him to quarters, and when Scotty left, Kirk looked troubled that he defended the ship's honor but not Kirk's honor. Meanwhile, the Tribbles are multiplying at an alarming rate. As Kirk comes back to the bridge, they're all over the place up there as well. Kirk calls McCoy to the bridge. He asks McCoy about them, and McCoy said as far as he could tell, they're born pregnant. He also indicated that they are bisexual and can reproduce at will. Kirk and Spock beam down to talk about the trouble with the Tribbles, with Jones, and they get nowhere in that conversation. Meanwhile, Mr. Barris comes in and is angry. He told Kirk that he will be reporting him for allowing a Klingon agent aboard the station, referring to Jones, and Kirk laughs that off. When Kirk and Spock arrive back on the ship, it is now overrun with Tribbles. They are literally everywhere, including the food processors. Kirk asked how they're getting inside the machinery, and Scotty said through the vents. And this is now problematic because there are vents in the storage compartments on station K7. Kirk and Spock beam down and meet with Barris in the storage compartments. And when Kirk opens the vent door, hundreds of Tribbles come pouring out, and they effectively bury Kirk. When he comes up out of them, Barris blames Kirk for this mess. McCoy comes in and he says that all they need to do is to stop feeding them and then they'll stop breeding. And it is here where Spock makes an interesting discovery, that most of the Tribbles that Kirk is buried in are dead and the rest are dying, leaving them to believe that something in the grain killed them. Kirk has Jones summoned for questioning, and as he comes in, the Klingons come in also, demanding an apology from Kirk. No such apology is given. Kirk then begins his questioning. His questions are two. Who put the Tribbles in the storage compartment? And what in the Quadro Triticale killed them? Koloff asked if the Tribbles could be removed. Now, as Kirk's men begin removing the Tribbles, they meet Barris' assistant Darwin at the door, and the Tribbles react very, very violently towards him. Jones said that Tribbles like everybody. However, he noticed at the bar that the Tribbles didn't particularly like the Klingons. Those little racist furballs. Kirk had McCoy run a quick scan of Darwin, and plot twist, it turned out that Darwin is in fact a Klingon. McCoy also discovered that the grain had been poisoned, and as the Tribbles ate it, it built up inert matter, blocking them from getting any nourishment from food. They eat like crazy but are actually starving to death. Darwin admitted that he poisoned the grain in hopes that the people on Sherman's planet would all starve and the Klingons could claim it and colonate it as their own. Nice guys. Darwin was arrested, and Kirk ordered the Klingons to leave Federation space within 6 hours. Meanwhile, Kirk brokers a deal with Jones that he could stay out of prison if he promises to clean up all the Tribbles off of the station. Jones asked how long it would take, and Spock told him 17.9 years. It was either that or prison, so he chose to stay and clean up. As the Enterprise leaves K7, Kirk notices that all the Tribbles on the Enterprise are gone, and so he asks where they are. So several of the bridge officers pass the buck. Kirk finally asks Scotty where they are. Scotty said that he used the transporter to send them to a good home. He beamed them all aboard the Klingon ship to their engine room before the Klingons warped out. Scotty then said they would be no Tribble at all. The episode ends with all except Spock sharing a laugh. Trouble with Tribbles is a very light-hearted episode that many people love. I remember as a teen during Star Trek's 25th anniversary, there was an original series episode marathon of 12 episodes that the fans loved the most. Among the episodes that were shown were The Doomsday Machine, Balance of Terror, Amok Time, all fantastic episodes, but the one most loved by fans was The Trouble with Tribbles. Now, at the risk of offending fans of the original series, I don't feel that this is Star Trek's finest episode. Actually, I'm of two minds about it. First, it's a light-hearted, comedic episode that has lots of enjoyable qualities, lots of laughs and giggles, and a couple of roll your eyes, cringeworthy moments. That's my first thought. But second, it is silly. I can't take it serious. It is annoying in spots, and this is found right in the midst of a groundbreaking science fiction television series. So let me consider both mindsets then as we go through this. The episode, I think, almost needs to be considered a sitcom because it is indeed situational comedy. The episode started out with Chekhov being silly about how Russia invented and discovered everything, but then it became very serious as the ship is put into a red alert because of a distress signal. A very solid opening sequence, and by the way, very, very quick opening sequence. I think the shortest one in the original series to this point, I believe at 1:47 seconds. Then after the title sequence, the comedy begins. One-liners, a swindler, Klingons who were hard to take seriously, and of course, hundreds of little fur balls. In fact, based on past performances, I believe Kirk would have become irritated and completely angry that the Tribbles were all over his ship, taking over his ship, so to speak. Yet when he came to the bridge, he heard them making their little noises, and even though the ship was overcome by them, it made him smile. I just don't find it believable. Now, in the midst of all the comedy, there was a mystery unfolding. And that element of the episode was very good, but it gets lost in all the craziness. I did love, however, the fight between Scotty and the boys versus the Klingons in the bar. Again, it was for comedic purposes, but Scotty's reactions were priceless. They insulted all of humanity, and he kept his cool. They insulted his captain, and he kept his cool. But when they insulted his ship, that threw him over the edge, and Scotty whooped some tail. And it was fantastic. I really feel that this was also the first episode that really married Scotty to the engine room and the engineering and technical issues of the Enterprise. So good stuff there. The surprise ending was good as well, with Darwin being revealed as actually a Klingon. But you know what? It did not have quite the punch that it could have had because of the silliness of this episode. Also, Sulu was missing. George Takei was filming the Green Berets with John Wayne. So all things considered, not their best episode, certainly not their worst episode, but it is lighthearted and filled with lots of laughter. I give The Trouble with Tribbles 3 out of 5 Starfleet insignias for awesomeness. If you want to have a good laugh, watch it. Other than that, you're not missing a whole lot. Well, that is a wrap for this week's edition of Trek Mission Log, and I hope that you enjoyed this review. Please drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts about this episode and about my review. I do enjoy reading them all, and I try my best to respond to all of them. I also welcome you to comment even if you disagree with my assessment or if you think I'm out to lunch. I'm cool with that. We don't have to agree on everything. Just keep in mind, I announced this at the beginning of this episode, that there will not be a new one out next week as I'll be on holidays with my family. However, when we do come back, we will be looking at an episode called The Gamesters of Treskelion. And, I do remember enjoying that episode quite a bit as a teenager. So, we're going to have a good time when we come back. Until then, live long and prosper.